Shalom and welcome back to our reading of Proof of the Zadok Priesthood and the Dead Sea Scrolls Calendar. This is going to be Chapter 3, and the name of the chapter is Proofs of Zadok being of the line of Aaron, a true Levite priest. There are many biblical references to the priests of Zadok in Ezekiel 40 through 48. The term sons of Zadok is used 4 times as designations for the priests. So Ezekiel 40 verse 46, and the room facing north is for the Kohanim who guard the duty of the altar. They are the sons of Zadok, from the sons of Levi, who come near Yahuah to serve him. Ezekiel 43:19, and you shall give a young bull for a sin offering to the Kohanim, the Levites, who are of the seed of Zadok, who approach unto me, declares the Adon Yahuah. Ezekiel 44:15, but the Kohanim, the Levites, the sons of Zadok, who guard the duty of my Mikdash, when the children of Israel went astray from me. They shall draw near to me to serve me, and shall stand before me to bring me the fat and the blood, declares the Adon Yahuah. And Ezekiel 48:11, for the Kohanim, the sons of Zadok, who are Kodesh, who guard my charge, who did not go astray when the children of Israel went astray, as the Levites went astray. Which would prove that the Zadok priesthood in Qumran which proves the Zadok priesthood in Qumran to be the true priests ordained by Yahuah, as they did not call themselves Essenes, as prominent scholars would like people to believe. They never called themselves Essene, but rather the sons of Zadok, the Yahuah, or the Way, in their own writings in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And this is the Messianic Rule 1QSA or 1Q28A. The sons of Levi shall hold office, each in his place, under the authority of the sons of Aaron. They shall cause all the congregation to go and come, each man in his rank, under the direction of the heads of the family of the congregation, the leaders, judges, and officers, according to the number of all their hosts, under the authority of the sons of Zadok the priests. The Tanakh, or Old Testament Hebrew Bible, states that Zadok was a patrilineal descendant of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the high priest. The lineage of Zadok is presented in the genealogy of Ezra as his descendant, as being of 9th generation of direct patrilineal descent from Phinehas, the son of Eleazar. And we have here Ezra chapter 7 verses 1 through 5. And after these events, in the reign of Astashasha, or Artaxerxes, sovereign of Paras, Persia, Ezra, son of Sariah, son of Azariah, son of Heliaku, son of Shalom, son of Zadok, son of Ahitub, son of Amariah, son of Azariah, son of Marioth, son of Zariah, son of Uzi, son of Buki, son of Aspishua, son of Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the chief Kohen. Zadok aided King David during the revolt of his son Absalom, and was subsequently instrumental in bringing Solomon to the throne and officiated at Solomon's coronation. After Solomon's building of the first temple in Jerusalem, Zadok was the first high priest to serve there. The prophet Ezekiel extols the sons of Zadok as staunch opponents of paganism during the era of pagan worship, and indicates their birthright to unique duties and privileges in the future temple. Historical data shows that the high priesthood remained in the progeny of the Zadokites from the time of Zadok up until the rise of the Hasmoneans in about 167 BCE. So these are the usurpers here. The descendants of Zadok increased in rank and influence, so that his son Azariah was one of the princes of Solomon. 1 Kings 4, verses 1 through 2. And it came to be that sovereign Shalom was sovereign over all of Israel. And these were his chief officials: Azariah, son of Zadok, the Kohen; Ahimaaz, who married a daughter of Solomon, was probably another of Zadok's sons, which can be found in 1 Kings 4:15. Either Zadok himself or his grandson was the ruler of the Aaronite priests. And 1 Chronicles 27, verses 16 through 17. And over the tribes of Israel, the chief officer over Reuben is Eleazar, son of Zikri. Over Shimeon, Septuagint, son of Maacah. Over Levi, Hashbiah, son of Kemuel. And over Aaron, Zadok. Also Jerusha, the mother of Jotham, is apparently termed the daughter of Zadok to emphasize her noble lineage, since her father may have been a descendant of the first Zadok, which is found in 2 Kings chapter 15 verses 33 and 2 Chronicles 27:1. The house of Zadok occupied the high priesthood through much of the Second Temple period, from Jehoshua ben Jehozadak after the exile down to Simeon the Second, or Simeon the Just, Shimon ben Zadok, who is much praised in Ben Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. It can be known by one or all three of these names. So it's Sirach chapter 50 verses 1 through 4. So Shimeon, or Simon, the Kohen Haggadol, the high priest, the son of Onias, who in his life repaired the house again, and in his days fortified the Hayakal, the temple, and by him the double height from the foundation was built. The high fortress of the wall was around the Hayakal in his days, the cistern to receive the water, being surrounded as the sea, was covered with plates of bronze. He looked after the Hayakal, that it should not fall, and fortified the city against the siege. So this is going to be in Sirach, and these are going to be some verses that are not going to be in all translations. But I do have the source cited for this, and I'll have it in the description as well. So this is going to be Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 51. And these are going to be verses that are found between verses 12 and 13. So give thanks to him who makes a horn to sprout for the house of David, for his kindness endures forever. Give thanks to him who has chosen the sons of Zadok to be priests, for his kindness endures forever. His eldest son Onias III and his usurping second son Jason, who introduced the program of Hellenization, from which the Sadducees stem from the line of Jason. That eventually led to the Maccabean revolt, the usurpers revolting. There is no information about the following century and a half. After this, the book of Maccabees makes it possible to trace the line from Onias in the middle of the 3rd century to Simeon the Just, and to Onias III, who held the office of high priest when Antiochus Epiphanes succeeded to the throne circa 175 BCE. And his son Onias IV, which we'll get into him in just a moment, was too young to succeed to succeed to his father's office, to which Jason, which can be found in 2 Maccabees 4, verses 7 and 20, and Menelaus, also found in 2 Maccabees 4, 23 through 26. So Maccabees, it's the story told from the side of the usurpers, and they admit to what we're going to read through here in just a moment. So though they were not priests, they were successfully appointed by bribing the Seleucid ruler to appoint them. After the death of Alcimus, the office remained vacant for 7 years. And this can be found Maccabees 9:54 through 57. Until the Maccabean Jonathan was nominated high priest by Alexander Ballas. So he was the Hasmonean, one of the usurpers, and he came into power because of the bribery. So, but in the early years of Simeon, Jonathan's successor, was the high priesthood irrevocably transferred from the Zadokites to the Hasmoneans. This seems to have given the appropriate occasion for the origins of the Dead Sea sect, the Qumran community, and a sect in Egypt as well, as Onias IV had fled there after the usurpation. And may I add, his father, Onias III, he was murdered for not following, the Babylonian Seleucid Empire calendar that they were pushing. But the Hasmoneans were perfectly fine with accepting and pushing that calendar. So the sects most likely originated with groups of Zadok priests deeply disturbed by prevalent trends, i.e. these Babylonian trends, especially in the usurped high priesthood by the Hasmoneans. There is also much evidence that the Zadok priesthood, through Onias IV, went to Egypt as well, and even set up a temple to Yahuah. So this is going to be Isaiah chapter 19, verses 16 through 25. And what we're going to read is actually an amazing fulfillment of scriptures that not many know about and not many talk about. And again, the sources for what we're going to read here will be in the description as well. So Isaiah 19, 16 through 25. In that day Mitzrayim, Egypt, shall become like woman, and shall tremble and fear, because of the waving of the hand of Yahuah of hosts, which he waves over it. And the land of Yehudah shall be a fear to Mitzrayim. Everyone who mentions it fears for himself, because of the counsel of Yahuah of hosts, which he has counseled against it. In that day 5 cities in the land of Mitzrayim shall speak the language of Canaan, and swear by Yahuah of hosts. One of them will be called the city of Zadok, and this is what the Brenton Septuagint reads. In that day an altar to Yahuah shall be in the midst of the land of Mitzrayim, and a standing column to Yahuah at its border. And it shall be for a sign, and for a witness to Yahuah of hosts in the land of Mitzrayim. When they cry to Yahuah because of the oppressors, he sends them a Savior and an Elohim, and shall deliver them. So pausing real quick, remember, so when Messiah was young, him and his family, they had to flee Herod to escape the death, and they fled to Egypt. So we're going to learn why they went to Egypt here in just a moment, but this is also the fulfillment right here of Isaiah 19. So continuing, and Yahuah shall be known to Mitzrayim, and the Mitzrites shall know Yahuah in that day, and make a slaughtering and a meal offering, and shall make a vow to Yahuah and pay it. And Yahuah shall smite Mitzrayim, smite it and heal it. And they shall turn to Yahuah, and he shall hear them and heal them. In that day there shall be a highway from Mitzrayim to Ashur, to Assyria. And Ashur shall come into Mitzrayim, and Mitzrayim into Ashur. And Mitzrayim shall serve with Ashur. In that day Israel shall be one of three with Mitzrayim and Ashur, even a barakah, a blessing in the midst of the earth, whom Yahuah of hosts shall Baruch, saying, Baruch is Mitzrayim my people, and Ashur the work of my hands, and Israel my inheritance. Pretty amazing. So Isaiah 19:18 through 22 gives prophetic confirmation of the temple of Onias in Egypt. We are given three different names for the main city in the land of Onias. All three names add to the narrative. The Septuagint calls it the city of Zadok or Zedek, depending on which translation. So from the Lexham Septuagint, Isaiah 19, verse 18, on that day there will be 5 cities in Egypt that speak the Canaanite language and swear by the name of Yahuah. The one city will be called City of Zadok. A few translations call it the City of the Sun, but the NLT New Living Translation gives the name Heliopolis, which means City of the Sun, and the King James calls it the City of Destruction. I suspect that the translators of the King James were trying to obscure what that place was, a true Zadok community. Azadek means righteousness, and you know what else means righteousness? Zadok. I believe that the name Heliopolis is also a clue. The city probably already had its name before Onias IV arrived, but the sun is the greater light that rules the Zadok calendar, and this is where most of the sons of light move to. So here is going to be a quote from the Book of Ages in Chaos, or Worlds in Collision. And here he's going to talk about, how there was an additional 600 years mistakenly added to Egyptian history because of the confusion regarding the rulers' co-regencies. When that time is taken out, it coincides perfectly with Israel's history in the scriptures. This also indicates that the first recorded solar-only calendar in history was attributed to Egypt and thought to have begun around 1200 BC. But with this mistaken 600 years taken off, it wouldn't begin until after 700 BC. The same time, Onias went to Egypt and befriended Ptolemy, which is more proofs in the history of the calendar. And so this is going to be the map of the Ptolemaic Empire. And then we see Heliopolis here. We see Leontopolis, Pelusia, or Pelusium, as we're going to see it's red. But this is basically the land of Onias is what it was called here. So I want everyone to notice where Heliopolis is. So we have Heliopolis and Leontopolis in Ptolemaic Egypt. So right here and here. The land given to Onias IV was a strategic point from a military standpoint, and his ally Ptolemy made him a leader in his army for 2 reasons. Israelites are excellent military strategists, and they had a common enemy who was Antiochus IV. I would also like to point out that the legend of how the Septuagint was translated into Greek was because of Ptolemy, and he wanted to read the scriptures. Here we have one of the sons of Zadok, Onias IV, in Egypt, with his friend and ally Ptolemy. In fact, over 80% of all the quotations in the New Testament resemble what we find in the Greek Septuagint. So this is a quote here. Of the places where the New Testament quotes the Old, the great majority is from the Septuagint version. Protestant authors Archer and Chiringo list 340 places where the New Testament cites the Septuagint, but only 33 places where it cites from the Masoretic text rather than the Septuagint. So from Archer and Chiringo, the Old Testament quotations in the New Testament, a complete survey. pages 25 through 32. They also found older Hebrew and Aramaic manuscripts that resembled the Greek Septuagint in the Dead Sea Scrolls, Cave 7. And we're going to get more into that in the New Testament section. This has led to many experts agreeing that the Hebrew manuscripts that the apostles used actually did resemble the Septuagint, and they didn't simply just quote it. It has also gave question to the credibility of those Hebrew Masoretic manuscripts that we use today. Here's a statement from Professor Horn proving this point. However, the facts that an unidentified Hebrew text suddenly became the standard at the end of the 1st century, and that not one copy of a divergent text survived except the Dead Sea Scrolls that had already been hidden when Jamnia convened. So the Rabbi Akiva and the Council of Jamnia, which we will also get more into. But they indicate clearly that the Council of Jamnia must have taken action in this matter. Moreover, the fact that Aquila, one of Akiva's pupils, soon thereafter produced a new Greek translation that is slavishly translated the new unified Hebrew text for the use of the diaspora, which gives credence to the idea that Akiva must have been a key influence in the standardization of the Hebrew text. And oh yes, he was. This is from Professor S.H. Horn, Archaeology, Andrews University, Michigan. So we're definitely going to cover Rabbi Akiva more in the Proving Enoch and Jubilees section or chapter. So continuing, but I am far from putting reliance in your teachers, the Jews, who refuse to admit that the interpretation made by the 70 elders who were with Ptolemy, king of the Egyptians, is a correct one, or the Greek Septuagint. And they attempt to frame another. And I wish you to observe that they have altogether taken away many scriptures from the translations effected by those 70 elders who were with Ptolemy, and by which this very man who was crucified is proved to have been set forth expressively as Elohim and man, and as being crucified, and as dying. So we can also see, Justin Martyr here was showing Rabbi Akiva, they made changes and edits, and he was showing, hey, look, the Greek Septuagint, it's true. So this is from Justin Martyr, Dialogue with Trypho, chapter 71. A second temple in Egypt. The evidence for the Zadokite temple of Onias. Onias IV was the son of Onias III, and the heir of the Zadokite line of high priests of Israel. He built a new temple at Leontopolis in Ptolemaic Egypt, where he reigned as a rival high priest to the usurped hierarchy in Jerusalem. While he never gained leadership in Judea, he still held influence in Egypt. The territory most heavily populated by Israelites was called the land of Onias, in reference to his influence. Onias' father, Onias III, served as high priest from 187 to 175 BCE. High priest was also a governmental position, albeit one that kings did not usually interfere with after appointment. However, in 175 BCE, Onias III was dismissed from the high priesthood, and his brother Jason was given the role instead, after bribing the Seleucid ruler to appoint him, and as mentioned previously. Onias III, the Zadok high priest, who was usurped by his brother Jason, who replaced the calendar, and who the Sadducees stemmed from in Messiah's time. So this all came from Jason. Onias IV left the country of Judea to go to Egypt and build his own temple in Heliopolis after the usurpation. So again, we see this as the fulfillment of Isaiah 19. That is the exact example of one of the sons of Zadok who is called a pious man. The scriptures gives us many good role models, and the sons of Zadok are most definitely a good example. And Onias III was also killed for not following the calendar, which we're going to read about here. So Onias III fled the Seleucid capital Antioch, perhaps hoping to petition King Antiochus IV to restore him. And that's where he was killed by his enemies, while attempting to claim sanctuary at the shrine of Apollo and Artemis. In 152 BCE, the usurping Hasmonean Jonathan Aphus made a deal with the Seleucid royal claimant, Alexander Balis, where Jonathan was appointed as high priest. As Balis went on to win the ongoing Seleucid civil war, this appointment stuck. Onias IV was not invited back to Judea to take his family line's position, and Onias's personal expectations of the usurping Hasmoneans darkened. With the permission of Ptolemy IV, Onias IV arranged the construction of a temple at Leontopolis. It might have happened around 145 BCE. Though comparatively small, the new temple was modeled on that of the second temple at Jerusalem, and was called by the name of its founder as the Temple of Onias. Onias IV possibly expected that after the upheavals in Jerusalem by the Syrians and the Maccabees, the Egyptian temple would be regarded as the new legitimate one, as according to Isaiah 19. However, the Hasmonean usurpers largely succeeded in maintaining autonomy, and this did not happen. The temple in Jerusalem was protected, and the usurped high priesthood began to pass down the Hasmonean line, not the true Zadokite line. Onias IV, who enjoyed the favor of the Egyptian court, did succeed in elevating the Egyptian belief of Yahuah to a position of dignity and importance. And this is also the fulfillment we saw there in Isaiah 19, where Egypt will turn to Yahuah and follow him. A large number of able-bodied Israelites and other Zadok priests had accompanied Onias IV to Egypt, and these strangers, who were there called inhabitants, received, on condition of performing military service and preserving the internal peace of the country, they received tracts of land of their own, on which they lived with their families. The district inhabited by them lay between Memphis and Pelusium, and was long called the land of Onias. This proves what Isaiah 19 was prophesying, and in my opinion, from my research, the Messiah must have visited both the Zadokite communities, as him and his family fled to Egypt to avoid King Herod as a child, and you can find that in Matthew chapter 2, verses 12 through 14. And Messiah, even learning as a child the true calendar and the way of his father Yahuah from the true priesthood, the Zadokites. Which is also why Messiah observed Passover a different day than the Pharisees, the day before, which also lines up with the Zadok calendar, and how he was so learned at a very young age. He was also baptized by John the Baptist near the Qumran community, who was of the line of Aaron, and we're definitely going to get into more later on this as well. and if you don't know, actually, the death, burial, and resurrection of Messiah, it actually proves out the Zadok calendar. And I do have a write-up on that, which is going to be in the description below as well. So among the most puzzling features found at Qumran are deposits of animal bones belonging to sheep, goat, and cattle, mixed with ash, which were placed on the ground between large potsherds or inside jars and covered with little or no earth. The deposits are consecrated in the open-air spaces, mainly on the northwest and southeast sides of the site. There is sufficient archaeological evidence to show that the inhabitants of the sites at Qumran raised crops and tended flocks. The cultivation of date palms, grapevines, wheat and barley fields, and even the collection and processing of indigo or balsam should be seen as an integral part of the daily tasks of the people at Qumran. There were also seeds found in the caves at Qumran, and these seeds, discovered in the 1940s and 50s, offer a glimpse into the agricultural practices of ancient times. But why are these seeds so important? They provide clues about the types of plants grown and consumed by the community and the people living over 2,000 years ago. We can see that the sons of Zadok had a diet consisting of fruits like dates and grapes, wheat and barley, sheep, goat, and cattle as well. So this is going to debunk the claims that there were just a crazy vegan community living out in the desert. The Qumran community maintained the exclusive right of the Zadokites to fill the high priestly office. They kept the true calendar and all books of the Tanakh, even Jubilees and Enoch, which of both were found in Qumran more than most Torah books. Both are used as the foundation of the calendar of the Qumran community. Both books were removed from the canon to hide the true calendar, and can be found in the Ethiopian Bible, which is the oldest known translation of the Bible, even older than the Masoretic and Septuagint, which the Dead Sea Scrolls findings have proven to be unchanged. Even through thousands of years of translations, this only validates the Dead Sea Scrolls and proves Yahuah will not allow his word to be changed. And that is the end of chapter 3. It just goes to show, how important the sons of Zadok are, and how they attempt to discredit the Dead Sea Scrolls by, labeling them as Essene, or labeling them as, a crazy Jewish sect out in the desert that is a bunch of vegans. And all it takes is a little bit of research, and you can find, what they say on the mainstream is not necessarily true. But thank you for listening, and the links will all be in the description as well. Shalom and blessings.